Chapter 60. Noah's Vision. In the year 500, in the 7th month, on the 14th day of the month in the life of Enoch, in that parable I saw how a mighty quaking made the heaven of heavens to quake, and the host of the Most High, and the angels, 1,000 thousands and 10,000 times 10,000, were disquieted with great foreboding. And the head of days sat on the throne of his glory, and the angels and the righteous stood around him. And a great trembling seized me, and fear took hold of me, and my legs gave way, and I melted with weakness and fell on my face. And Michael sent another angel from among the holy ones, and he raised me up. And when he had raised me up, my spirit returned, for I had not been able to endure the look of this host, and the disturbance, and the shaking of heaven. And Michael said to me, "Why are you upset with such a vision? Until this day, his mercy and long suffering has lasted toward those who dwell on the earth. And when the day and the power and the punishment and the judgment come, which the Lord of spirits hath prepared for those who worship not the righteous law, and for those who deny the righteous judgment, and for those who take his name in vain, that day is prepared. It will be a covenant for the elect, but for sinners an inquisition, when the punishment of the Lord of spirits shall rest on them. It will not come in vain, and it shall slay the children with their mothers, and the children with their fathers. And on that day 2 monsters were separated from one another, a female monster named Leviathan, to dwell in the abyss of the ocean over the fountains of the waters. And the male is named Behemoth, who occupied with his breast a wasted wilderness named Duodain, on the east of the garden where the elect and righteous dwell, where my great-grandfather was taken up, the 7th from Adam, the first man whom the Lord of spirits created. And I asked the other angel to show me the might of those monsters, how they were separated on one day and thrown, the one into the abyss of the sea, and the other to the earth's desert. And he said to me, "Son of man, you wish to know what is kept secret." And the other angel who went with me and showed me what was kept secret told me what is first and last in heaven and the sky, and beneath the earth in the depth, and at the ends of heaven, and on the foundation of heaven. And the storehouse of the winds, and how the winds are divided, and how they are weighed, and how the doors of the winds are calculated for each according to the power of the wind, and the power of the lights of the moon according to the power that is fitting, and the divisions of the stars according to their names, and how all the divisions are divided, and the thunder according to the places where they fall, and all the divisions that are made among the lightning, that it may light, and their host, that they may at once obey. For the thunder has places of rest, which are assigned while it is waiting for its peal, and the thunder and lightning are inseparable, and although not one and undivided, they both go together in spirit, and are not separate. For when the lightning flashes, the thunder utters its voice, and the spirit enforces a pause during the peal, and divides equally between them. For the treasury of their peals is like the sand of an hourglass, and each one of them, as it peals, is held in with a bridle, and turned back by the power of the Spirit, and pushed forward according to the many parts of the earth. And the spirit of the sea is masculine and strong, and according to the might of his strength, he draws it back with a rein, and in like manner it is driven forward, and disperses in the midst of all the mountains of the earth. And the spirit of the hoarfrost is his own angel, and the spirit of the hail is a good angel, and the spirit of the snow has forsaken his storehouse because of his strength. There is a special spirit there, and that which ascends from it is like smoke, and its name is frost. And the spirit of the mist is not united with them in their storehouse, but it has a special storehouse, for its course is glorious, both in light and in darkness, and in winter and in summer. And in its storehouse is an angel. And the spirit of the dew has its dwelling at the ends of heaven, and is connected with the storehouse of the rain, and its course is in winter and summer, and its clouds and the clouds of the mist are connected, and the one gives to the other. And when the spirit of the rain goes out from its storehouse, the angels come and open the storehouse and lead it out. And when it is diffused over the whole earth, it unites with the water on the earth. And whenever it unites with the water on the earth, for the waters are for those who live on the earth, they are become nourishment for the earth from the Most High, who is in heaven. Therefore there is a measurement for the rain, and the angels are in charge of it. And these things I saw towards the garden of the righteous. And the angel of peace who was with me said to me, these two monsters, prepared in accordance with the greatness of the Lord, will feed them the punishment of the Lord, and children will be killed with their mothers, and sons with their fathers. Chapter 61. And I saw in those days that long cords were given to those angels, and they took to themselves wings and flew, and they went towards the north. I asked the angel, saying to him, why have those angels who have cords taken flight? And he said to me, they have gone to take measurements. Author's note: there were no tape measures in those days. Measurements were taken by a simple rope or stick. The rope may have knots placed in it. Usual measurement were based on a man's forearm, the length of an arm, or the span of the arms. In this case, the measurements based those of the Lord or his appointed angel, encoded secret knowledge. And the angel who went with me said to me, these shall bring the measurements of the righteous, and the cords of the righteous to the righteous, that they may rely on the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. The elect shall begin to dwell with the elect, and those are the measurements which shall be given to faith, and which shall strengthen righteousness. And these measurements shall reveal all the secrets of the depths of the earth, and those who have been destroyed by the desert, and those who have been devoured by the beasts, and those who have been devoured by the fish of the sea, that they may return and rely on the day of the elect one. For none shall be destroyed before the Lord of spirits, and none can be destroyed. And all who dwell in heaven received a command, and power, and one voice, and one light, like to fire. And they blessed him with their first words, and exalted and praised him in their wisdom. And they were wise in utterance and in the spirit of life. And the Lord of spirits placed the elect one on the throne of glory. And he shall judge all the works of the holy above in heaven. And in the balance their deeds shall be weighed. And when he shall lift up his face to judge their secret ways according to the word of the name of the Lord of spirits, and their path according to the way of the righteous judgment of the Lord of spirits, then they shall all speak with one voice, and bless and glorify and exalt the name of the Lord of spirits. And he will summon all the host of heavens, and all the holy ones above, and the host of God, the cherubim, seraphim, and ophanim, and all the angels of power, and all the angels of principalities, angels that rule over other angels, and the elect one, and the other powers on the earth and over the water, on that day shall raise one voice, and bless and glorify and exalt in the spirit of faith, and in the spirit of wisdom, and in the spirit of patience, and in the spirit of mercy, and in the spirit of judgment, and of peace, and in the spirit of goodness, and shall all say with one voice, Blessed is he, and may the name of the Lord of spirits be blessed forever and ever. All who do not sleep above in heaven shall bless him. All the holy ones who are in heaven shall bless him, and all the elect who dwell in the garden of life, and every spirit who is able to bless and glorify and exalt and praise your blessed name, and to the extent of its ability, all flesh shall glorify and bless your name forever and ever. For great is the mercy of the Lord of spirits. He is long-suffering, and all his works and all that he has created, he has revealed to the righteous and elect, in the name of the Lord of spirits. Chapter 62. Thus the Lord commanded the kings and the mighty and the exalted, and those who dwell on the earth, and said, Open your eyes and lift up your horns if you are able to recognize the elect one. And the Lord of spirits seated him on the throne of his glory, and the spirit of righteousness was poured out on him, and the word of his mouth slays all the sinners, and all the unrighteous are destroyed from in front of his face. Revelations 19:15. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And in that day all the kings and the mighty, and the exalted, and those who hold the earth, shall stand up, and shall see and recognize that he sits on the throne of his glory, and that righteousness is judged before him, and no lying word is spoken before him. Then pain will come on them as on a woman in labor, and she has pain in giving birth when her child enters the mouth of the womb, and she has pain in childbirth. And one portion of them shall look at the other, and they shall be terrified, and they shall look downcast, and pain shall seize them, when they see that Son of Man sitting on the throne of his glory. Matthew 25:31. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And the kings and the mighty and all who possess the earth shall bless and glorify and exalt him who rules over all, who was hidden. For from the beginning the Son of Man was hidden, and the Most High preserved him in the presence of his might, and revealed him to the elect. And the congregation of the elect and holy shall be sown, and all the elect shall stand before him on that day. And all the kings and the mighty, and the exalted, and those who rule the earth, shall fall down before him on their faces, and worship and set their hope on that Son of Man, and petition him, and supplicate for mercy at his hands. Nevertheless, that Lord of spirits will so press them that they shall heavily go out from his presence, and their faces shall be filled with shame, and the darkness grows deeper on their faces. And he will deliver them to the angels for punishment, to execute vengeance on them, because they have oppressed his children and his elect. And they shall be a spectacle for the righteous and for his elect. They shall rejoice over them, because because the wrath of the Lord of spirits rests on them, and his sword is drunk with their blood. The righteous and elect shall be saved on that day, and they shall never again see the face of the sinners and unrighteous. And the Lord of spirits will abide over them, and they shall eat, lie down, and rise up with the Son of Man forever and ever. The righteous and elect shall have risen from the earth, and cease to be downcast, and they will have been clothed with garments of life. And these shall be the garments of life from the Lord of spirits. They shall not wear out, nor will your glory pass away from before the Lord of spirits. Chapter 63. In those days shall the mighty and the kings who possess the earth beg him to grant them a little respite from his angels of punishment to whom they were delivered, that they might fall down and worship before the Lord of spirits and confess their sins before him. Romans 14:11. For it is written, As I live, saith the Lord, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to God. So then every one of us shall give account of himself to God. And they shall bless and glorify the Lord of spirits, and say, Blessed is the Lord of spirits, and the Lord of kings, and the Lord of the mighty, and the Lord of the rich, and the Lord of glory, and the Lord of wisdom. And every secret is revealed in front of you. Your power is from generation to generation, and your glory forever and ever. Deep and innumerable are all your secrets, and your righteousness is beyond reckoning. We have now learned that we should glorify and bless the Lord of kings, and him who is king over all kings. And they shall say, With that we had a respite to glorify, and give thanks, and confess our faith before his glory. And now we long for a little respite, but find it not. We are driven away, and obtain it not. And light has vanished from before us, and darkness is our dwelling place forever and ever. Because we have not believed in him, nor glorified the name of the Lord of spirits, but our hope was in the scepter of our kingdom, and in our own glory. In the day of our suffering and tribulation, he does not save, and we find no respite for confession that our Lord is true in all his works, and in his judgments, and his justice, and his judgments have no respect of persons. We pass away from before his face on account of our works, and all our sins are judged in comparison to righteousness. Now they shall say to themselves, Our souls are full of unrighteous gain, but that we have gained does not prevent us from descending from the midst of our worldly gain into the torment, burden of hell, Sheol. And after that, their faces shall be filled with darkness and shame before that Son of Man, and they shall be driven from his presence, and the sword shall abide before his face in their midst. Thus spoke the Lord of spirits. This is the ordinance and judgment with respect to the mighty, and the kings, and the exalted, and those who possess the earth before the Lord of spirits. Chapter 64. In other forms I saw hidden in that place. I heard the voice of the angel saying, These are the angels who descended to the earth, and revealed what was hidden to the children of men, and seduced the children of men into committing sin. Chapter 65. And in those days Noah saw the earth, that it had sunk down, and its destruction was near. And he arose from there, and went to the ends of the earth, and cried aloud to his grandfather Enoch. And Noah said 3 times with an embittered voice, Hear me, hear me, hear me. And I said to him, Tell me what it is that is falling out on the earth, that the earth is in such evil plight and shaken, lest perchance I shall perish with it. And there was a great disturbance on the earth, and a voice was heard from heaven, and I fell on my face. And Enoch my grandfather came and stood by me, and said to me, Why have you cried to me with a bitter cry and weeping? A command has gone out from the presence of the Lord concerning those who dwell on the earth, that their ruin is accomplished, because they have learned all the secrets of the angels, and all the violence of the Satans, deceivers, accusers, and all their powers, the most secret ones, and all the power of those who practice sorcery, and the power of witchcraft, and the power of those who make molten images for the whole earth, and how silver is produced from the dust of the earth, and how soft metal originates in the earth. For lead and tin are not produced from the earth like the first. It is a fountain that produces them, and an angel stands in it, and that angel is preeminent. And after that my grandfather took hold of me by my hand and lifted me up, and said to me, Go, for I have asked the Lord of spirits about this disturbance on the earth. And he said to me, Because of their unrighteousness, their judgment has been determined, and shall not be withheld by me forever. Because of the sorceries which they have searched out and learned, the earth and those who dwell on it shall be destroyed. And from these they have no place of repentance forever, because they have shown them what was hidden, and they are the damned. But as for you, my son, the Lord of spirits knows that you are pure and guiltless of this reproach concerning the secrets. And he has destined your name to be among the holy, and will preserve you among those who dwell on the earth, and has destined your righteous seed, both for kingship and for great honors. And from your seed shall produce a fountain of the righteous and holy, without number, forever. Chapter 66. And after that he showed me the angels of punishment, who are prepared to come and let loose all the powers of the waters which are beneath in the earth, in order to bring judgment and destruction on all who dwell on the earth. And the Lord of spirits gave commandment to the angels who were going out, that they should not cause the waters to rise, but should hold them in check. For those angels were in charge of the forces of the waters. And I went away from the presence of Enoch. Chapter 67. And in those days the word of God came to me, and he said to me, Noah, your lot has come up before me, a lot without blame, a lot of love and righteousness. And now the angels are making a wooden structure, and when they have completed that task, I will place my hand on it and preserve it, keep it safe. And there shall come out of it the seed of life, and a change shall set in, so that the earth will not remain without inhabitants. And I will establish your seed before me forever and ever, and I will spread abroad those who dwell with you, and the face of the earth will be fruitful. They shall be blessed and multiply on the earth in the name of the Lord. And he will imprison those angels who have shown unrighteousness in that burning valley which my grandfather Enoch had formerly shown to me in the west, among the mountains of gold and silver and iron and soft metal and tin. And I saw that valley in which there was a great earthquake and the tidal waves of the waters. And when all this took place from that fiery molten metal, and from the convolution thereof in that place, there was a smell of sulfur produced, and it was connected with those waters, and that valley of the angels who had led mankind astray burned beneath that ground. And there were streams of fire throughout the valley, where these angels are punished who had led astray those who dwell on the earth. But those waters shall in those days serve for the kings and the mighty and the exalted, and those who dwell on the earth, for the healing of the body, but for the punishment of the spirit. Their spirit is full of lust, that they will be punished in their body, for they have denied the Lord of spirits. They will see their punishment daily, and yet they believe not in his name. There will be a relationship between the punishment and change. As their bodies burn, a change will take place in their spirit forever and ever. For before the Lord of spirits, none shall utter an idle word. For the judgment shall come on them, because they believe in the lust of their body and deny the Spirit of the Lord. And the waters will change in those days, for when those angels are punished in these waters, the springs shall change. And when the angels ascend, this water of the springs shall change their temperature and become cold. And I heard Michael answering and saying, this judgment in which the angels are judged is a testimony for the kings and the mighty who possess the earth. Because these waters of judgment minister to the healing of the body of the kings and the lust of their bodies, therefore they will not see and will not believe that those waters will change and become a fire which burns forever. Chapter 68. And after that, my grandfather Enoch gave me the explanations of all the secrets in the book of the parables, which had been given to him, and he put them together for me in the words of the book of the parables. And on that day, Michael answered Raphael and said, the power of the Spirit grips me and makes me tremble because of the severity of the judgment of the secrets and the judgment of the angels. Who can endure the severe judgment which has been executed, and before which they melt away? And Michael answered again and said to Raphael, I will not defend them under the eye of the Lord, for the Lord of spirits has been angry with them, because they act as if they were the Lord. Therefore, all that is hidden shall come on them forever and ever. For no other angel or man shall have his portion in this judgment, but they alone have received their judgment forever and ever. Chapter 69. And after this judgment I will terrify and make them tremble, because they have shown this to those who dwell on the earth. And behold the names of those angels. The first of them is Samjaza, the second, Artakifa, and the third, Armin, the fourth, Kokabi, the fifth, Turiel, the sixth, Ramjal, the seventh, Danjal, the eighth, Nekael, the ninth, Barakel, the 10th, Azazel, the 11th, Armaros, the 12th, Batarjal, the 13th, Busasejal, the 14th, Hananel, the 15th, Terrell, and the 16th, Semapisiel, the 17th, Jitrel, the 18th, Tumael, the 19th, Terrell, the 20th, Rumael, the 21st, Azaziel. And these are the chiefs of their angels and their names, and their leaders over hundreds, and leaders over 50s, and leaders over 10s. The name of the first, Jacon, that is, the one who led astray the sons of God, and brought them down to the earth, and led them astray through the daughters of men. And the second was named Asbiel. He imparted to the holy sons of God evil counsel, and led them astray so that they defiled their bodies with the daughters of men. And the third was named Gadriel. It is he who showed the children of men all the blows of death, and he led astray Eve, and showed the weapon of death to the sons of men, the shield and the coat of mail, and the sword for battle, and all the weapons of death to the children of men. And from his hand they have proceeded against those who dwell on the earth from that day and forevermore. And the fourth was named Penemu. He taught the children of men the bitter and the sweet, and he taught them all the secrets of their wisdom. And he instructed mankind in writing with ink and paper. and thereby many sinned from eternity to eternity and until this day. For men were not created for the purpose of confirming their good faith with pen and ink. For men were created exactly like the angels, to the intent that they should continue pure and righteous, and death, which destroys everything, should not have taken hold of them. But through this, their knowledge, they are perishing, and through this power consumes them. And the fifth was named Kasdeja. This is he who showed the children of men all the wicked smitings, blows, of spirits and demons, and the smitings, blows, of the embryo in the womb, that it may pass away, and the smitings, blows, of the soul, the bites of the serpent, and the smitings, blows, which befall through the midday heat, the son of the serpent named Tabaet. And this is the task of Kasbael, the chief of the oath which he showed to the holy ones when he dwelt high above in glory, and its name is Beka. This angel requested Michael to show him the hidden name, that he might enunciate it in the oath, so that those might quake before that name and oath who revealed all that was in secret to the children of men. And this is the power of this oath, for it is powerful and strong. And he placed this oath, a K, in the hand of, under the control of, Michael. And these are the secrets of this oath, God's promise, word, that heaven was suspended before the world was created, and forever, and they are strong through his oath, word, promise. And through it the earth was founded on the water, and from the secret recesses of the mountains come beautiful waters, from the creation of the world and to eternity. And through that oath the sea was created, and as its foundation, he set for it the sand against the time of his anger, rage, that it dare not pass beyond it from the creation of the world to eternity. And through that oath are the depths made fast, strong, and abide and stir not from their place from eternity to eternity. And through that oath the sun and moon complete their course, and deviate not from their ordinance from eternity to eternity. And through that oath the stars complete their course, and he calls them by their names, and they answer him from eternity to eternity. And in like manner, the spirits of the water and of the winds, and of all kinds of spirits, and their paths from all the quarters of the winds, respond to his command. Author's note: verse 22 is not complete in some translations. And there are preserved the voices of the thunder, and the light of the lightning. And there are preserved the storehouses of the hail, and the storehouses of the hoarfrost, and the storehouses of the mist, and the storehouses of the rain and the dew. And all these believe and give thanks before the Lord of spirits, and glorify him with all their power. And their food is in every act of thanksgiving. They thank and glorify and exalt the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. And this oath is mighty over them, and through it they are preserved, and their paths are preserved, and their course is not destroyed. And there were great joy among them, and they blessed and glorified and exalted because the name of that Son of Man had been revealed to them. And he sat on the throne of his glory, and the sum of judgment was given to the Son of Man. And he caused the sinners and all those who led the world astray to pass away and be destroyed from off the face of the earth. They shall be bound with chains and shut up and imprisoned in their place of assembly, and all their works vanish from the face of the earth. And from that time forward there shall be nothing corruptible, for that Son of Man has appeared, and has seated himself on the throne of his glory. And all evil shall pass away before his face, and the word of that Son of Man shall go out and be strong before the Lord of spirits. Chapter 70. And it came to pass after this, that during his lifetime His name was raised up to the Son of Man, and to the Lord of spirits from among those who dwell on the earth. And he was raised aloft on the chariots of the Spirit, and his name vanished among them. And from that day I was no longer numbered among them. And he placed me between the two winds, between the north and the west, where the angels took the cords to measure the place for the elect and righteous for me. And there I saw the first fathers and the righteous who dwell in that place from the beginning. Chapter 71. And it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated, carried off, and it ascended into heaven. And I saw the sons of the holy angels, sons of God. They were walking on flames of fire. Their garments were white, and their faces shone like snow. And I saw 2 rivers of fire, and the light of that fire shone like hyacinth. And I fell on my face before the Lord of spirits. And the angel Michael, one of the archangels, seized me by my right hand, and lifted me up, and led me out into all the secrets. And he showed me all the secrets of righteousness. And he showed me all the secrets of the ends of heaven, and all the storehouses of all the stars, and all the lights, from where they proceed before the face of the holy ones. And he carried my spirit into heaven of heavens. And I saw there as it were built of crystals, and between those crystals tongues of living fire. Revelation 21:10. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and shewed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. My spirit saw a circle of fire binding around the house of fire, and on its 4 sides were rivers full of living fire, and they encircled that house. And round about were seraphim, cherubim, and orphanim. And these are they who never sleep, and they guard the throne of his glory. And I saw angels who could not be counted, 1,000 thousands, and 10,000 times 10,000, encircling that house. And Michael, and Raphael, and Gabriel, and Phanuel, and the holy angels who are in heaven above, go in and out of that house. And they came out from that house. And Michael, and Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel, and many holy angels without number. And with them the head of days, his head white and pure as wool, and his raiment indescribable. And I fell on my face, and my whole body melted, and my spirit was transfigured, transformed. And I cried with a loud voice in the spirit of power, and I blessed and glorified and exalted. And these blessings which came from my mouth were very pleasing before that head of days. And the head of days came with Michael, and Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel, and thousands and 10,000s of angels without number. And the angel came to me and greeted me with his voice, and said to me, This is the Son of Man who is born to righteousness, and righteousness abides over him. And the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him not. And he said to me, He proclaims to you peace in the name of the world to come. For from there peace has proceeded since the creation of the world, and it shall be with you forever and forever and ever. John 17:24. Father, I will that they also, whom thou hast given me, be with me where I am, that they may behold my glory, which thou hast given me. For thou lovest me before the foundation of the world. And all shall walk in his ways, since righteousness never forsook him. Their dwelling place shall be with them, and it will be their heritage, and they shall not be separated from him forever and ever and ever. And so there shall be length of days with the Son of Man, and the righteous shall have peace, and an upright way in the name of the Lord of spirits, forever and ever. Hebrews 4:3. For we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said, As I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of the world. Chapter 72. The book of the courses of the luminaries of heaven, the relations of each according to their name, origin, and months, dominion and seasons, which Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, who is their guide, showed me, and he showed me all their laws, regulations, exactly as they are, and how it is with each of the years of the world into eternity, until the new creation is accomplished, which endures until eternity. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary, the sun, has its rising in the eastern doors of heaven, and its setting in the western doors of heaven. And I saw 6 doors in which the sun rises, and 6 doors in which the sun sets, and the moon rises and sets in these doors. And the leaders of the stars, and those whom they led, 6 in the east, and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order. There were also many windows to the right and left of these doors, and first there goes out the great luminary, named the sun, and his sphere, orbit, disk, is like the sphere, orbit, disk, of heaven, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. The chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to the appropriate door and shines in the face of heaven. In this way, he rises in the first month in the great door, which is the 4th. And in that 4th door from which the sun rises in the first month are 12 windows, from which proceed a flame when they are opened in their season. When the sun rises in heaven, he comes out through that 4th door, 30 mornings in succession, and sets accurately in the 4th door in the west of the heaven. And during this period, the day becomes daily longer, and nights grow shorter to the 30th morning. On that day, the day is longer than the night by a 9th part, and the day amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that 4th door, and sets in the 4th, and returns to the 5th door of the east 30 mornings, and rises from it and sets in the 5th door. And then the day becomes longer by 2 parts, and amounts to 11 parts, and the night becomes shorter, and amounts to 7 parts. And it returns to the east, and enters into the 6th door, and rises and sets in the 6th door, 1 and 30 mornings on account of its sign. On that day, the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night, and the day becomes 12 parts, and the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. And the sun mounts up to make the day shorter and the night longer. And the sun returns to the east and enters into the 6th door, and rises from it and sets 30 mornings. And when 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part, and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7. And the sun goes out from that 6th door in the west, and goes to the east, and rises in the 5th door for 30 mornings, and sets in the west again in the 5th western door. On that day, the day decreases by 2 parts, and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun goes out from that 5th door, and sets in the 5th door of the west, and rises in the 4th door for 1 and 30 mornings, on account of its sign, and sets in the west. On that day, the day becomes equal with the night in length, and the night amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. And the sun rises from that door and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises 30 mornings in the third door, and sets in the west in the third door. And on that day the night becomes longer than the day, and night becomes longer than night, and day shorter than day until the 30th morning. And the night amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the day to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that third door, and sets in the third door in the west, and returns to the east, and for 30 mornings rises in the second door in the east, and in like manner sets in the second door in the west of heaven. And on that day the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. And the sun rises on that day from that second door, and sets in the west in the second door, and returns to the east into the first door for 130 mornings, and sets in the first door in the west of heaven. And on that day the night becomes longer, and amounts to the double of the day, and the night amounts exactly to 12 parts, and the day to 6. Author's note: if the night is 12 parts and the day is 6 parts, the entire 24-hour day is divided into 18 sections of 80 minutes each. And the sun has traversed the divisions of his orbit, and turns again on those divisions of his orbit, and enters that door 30 mornings, and sets also in the west opposite to it. And on that night has the night decreased in length by a 9th part, and the night has become 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun has returned and entered into the second door in the east, and returns on those his divisions of his orbit for 30 mornings, rising and setting. And on that day the night decreases in length, and the night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. And on that day the sun rises from that door, and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the third door for 130 mornings, and sets in the west of heaven. On that day the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as to its days, 364. And the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night, arise through the course of the sun. These distinctions are separated. So it comes that its course becomes daily longer, and its course nightly shorter. And this is the law and the course of the great luminary which is named the sun, and his return as often as he returns, 60 times, and rises forever and ever. And that which rises is the great luminary, and is so named according to its appearance, according as the Lord commanded. As he rises, so he sets and decreases not, and rests not, but runs day and night, and his light is 7-fold brighter than that of the moon. But in regard to size, they are both equal. Chapter 73. And after this law, I saw another law dealing with the smaller luminary, which is named the moon. And her orbit is like the sphere, orbit disk of heaven. And her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind, and light is given to her in measurement. And her rising and setting change every month, and her days are like the days of the sun. And when her light is uniformly, completely, full, it amounts to the 7th part of the light of the sun. And thus she rises. And her first phase in the east comes out on the 30th morning, and on that day she becomes visible, and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the door, where the sun rises. And the 1/2 of her goes out by a 7th part, and her whole disk is empty, without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it, and the 14th part of her light. And when she receives 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to 1/7 part and the half thereof. And she sets with the sun, and when the sun rises, the moon rises with him, and receives the half of 1 part of light. And in that night, in the beginning of her morning, in the beginning of the lunar day, the moon sets with the sun, and is invisible that night with the 14 parts and the half of one of them. And she rises on that day with exactly a seventh part, and comes out and recedes from the rising of the sun. And in her remaining days, she becomes bright in the remaining 13 parts. Chapter 74. And I saw another course, a law for her, and how, according to that law, she performs her monthly revolution. And all these, Uriel, the holy angel who is the leader of them all, showed to me, and their positions. And I wrote down their positions as he showed them to me. And I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights until 15 days were accomplished. In single seventh parts, she accomplishes all her light in the east, and in single seventh parts accomplishes all her darkness in the west. And in certain months, she alters her settings, and in certain months, she pursues her own peculiar course. In 2 months, the moon sets with the sun, in those 2 middle doors, the third and the fourth. She goes out for 7 days, and turns about and returns again through the door where the sun rises, and all her light is full, and she recedes from the sun, and in 8 days enters the 6th door from which the sun goes out. And when the sun goes out from the 4th door, she goes out 7 days, until she goes out from the 5th, and turns back again in 7 days into the 4th door, and accomplishes all her light. And she recedes, and enters into the 1st door in 8 days. And she returns again in 7 days into the 4th door from which the sun goes out. Thus I saw their positions, how the moons rose and the sun set in those days. And if 5 years are added together, the sun has an excess of 30 days, and all the days which accrue to it, for one of those 5 years, when they are full, amount to 364 days. And an excess of the sun and of the stars amounts to 6 days. In 5 years, 6 days every year come to 30 days, and the moon falls behind the sun and stars to the number of 30 days. And the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day to eternity, but complete the years with perfect justice in 364 days. In 3 years, there are 1,092 days, and in 5 years, 1,820 days, so that in 8 years, there are 2,912 days. For the moon alone, the days amount in 3 years to 1,062 days, and in 5 years, she falls 50 days behind to the sum of 1,770. There is 5 to be added 1,062 days. And in 5 years, there are 1,770 days, so that for the moon, the days 6 and 8 years amounts to 21,832 days. 4 and 8 years, she falls behind to the amount of 80 days. All the days she falls behind in 8 years are 80. And the year is accurately completed in conformity with their world stations and the stations of the sun, which rise from the doors through which the sun rises and sets 30 days. Chapter 75. And the leaders of the heads of the 10,000s, who are in charge of the whole creation and over all the stars, have also to do with the 4 days of the year which are not counted in the yearly calendar, being not separated from their office according to the reckoning of the year, and these render service on the 4 days which are not counted in the reckoning of the year. And because of them, men go wrong in them. For those luminaries truly render service to the stations of the world, one in the first door, one on the third door of heaven, one in the fourth door, and one in the sixth door, and the exactness of the year is accomplished through its separate 364 stations. For the signs and the times and the years and the days the angel Uriel showed to me, whom the Lord of glory hath set forever over all the luminaries of heaven, in heaven and in the world, that they should rule on the face of heaven, and be seen on the earth, and be leaders for the day via the sun, and the night via the moon and stars, and all the ministering creatures which make their revolution in all the chariots of heaven. In like manner, 12 doors Uriel showed me, open in the sphere, disk, of the sun's chariot in heaven, through which the rays of the sun break out, and from them is warmth diffused over the earth, when they are opened at their appointed seasons. And there are openings for the wind and the spirit of dew, that when they are opened, stand open in heaven at the ends of the earth. As for the 12 doors in the heaven, at the ends of the earth, out of which go out the sun, moon, and stars, and all the works of heaven, in the east and in the west, there are many windows open to the left and right of them. And one window at its appointed season produces warmth, corresponding to the doors from which the stars come out as he has commanded them, and in which they are set, corresponding to their number. And I saw chariots in heaven, running in the world, above those doors in which the stars that never set. And one is larger than all the rest, and it is that makes its course through the entire world. Chapter 76. At the ends of the earth, I saw 12 doors open to all quarters of heaven, from which the winds go out and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open on the face of heaven, and 3 in the west, and 3 on the right of heaven, and 3 on the left. And the 3 first are those of the east, and 3 are of the north, and 3, after those on the left, of the south, and 3 of the west. Through 4 of these come winds of blessing and prosperity, peace, and from those 8 come hurtful winds. When they are sent, they bring destruction on all the earth and the water on it, and on all who dwell on it, and on everything which is in the water and on the land. And the first wind from those doors, called the east wind, comes out through the first door, which is in the east, inclining towards the south. From its desolation, drought, heat, and destruction come out. And through the second door in the middle comes what is fitting, right, correct. And there come rain and fruitfulness and prosperity and dew. And through the third door, which lies toward the north, comes cold and drought. And after these comes out the south winds through 3 doors. Through the first door of them inclining to the east comes out a hot wind. And through the middle door next to it there comes out fragrant smells, and dew, and rain, and prosperity, and health. And through the third door which lies to the west, dew comes out, and also rain, locusts, and desolation. And from the 7th door in the east comes the north winds, and dew, rain, locusts, and desolation. And from the center door come health and rain and dew and prosperity. And through the third door in the west come cloud and hoarfrost, and snow and rain, and dew and locusts. And after these came the 4 west winds. Through the first door adjoining the north come out dew and hoarfrost, and cold and snow and frost. And from the center door come out dew and rain and prosperity and blessing. And through the last door which adjoins the south come drought and desolation, and burning and destruction. And the 12 doors of the 4 quarters of heaven are therewith completed. And all their laws and all their plagues and all their benefactions have I shown to you, my son, Methuselah. Chapter 77. And the first quarter is called the east, because it is the first, and the second the south, because the Most High will descend there. From there will he who is blessed forever descend. And the west quarter is named the diminished, because there all the luminaries of the heaven wane and go down. And the fourth quarter, named the north, is divided into 3 parts. The first of them is for the dwelling of men, and the second contains seas of water, and the abyss, deep, and forests and rivers, and darkness and clouds, and the third part contains the garden of righteousness. I saw 7 high mountains, higher than all the mountains which are on the earth, and from here comes hoarfrost, and days, seasons, and years pass away. I saw 7 rivers on the earth larger than all the rivers. One of them coming from the west pours its waters into the great sea. And these 2 come from the north to the sea and pour their waters into the Erythraean Sea in the east. And the remaining 4 come out on the side of the north to their own sea. 2 of them to the Erythraean Sea, and 2 into the great sea, and some say they discharged themselves there into the desert. I saw 7 great islands in the sea and in the mainland, 2 in the mainland and 5 in the great sea. Chapter 78. And the names of the sun are the following: the first, Orjaris, and the second, Tomas. And the moon has 4 names. The first name is Osanja, the second, Ebla, the third, Benasse, and the fourth, Ire. These are the 2 great luminaries. Their spheres, disk, are like the sphere, disk, of the heaven, and the size of the spheres, disk, of both is alike. In the sphere, disk, of the sun, there are 7 portions of light which are added to it more than to the moon, and in fixed measurements it is transferred until the 7th portion of the sun is exhausted. And they set and enter the doors of the west, and make their revolution by the north, and come out through the eastern doors on the face of heaven. And when the moon rises, 1/14th part appears in heaven, and on the 14th day the moon's light becomes full, and 15 parts of light are transferred to her until the 15th day, when her light is full, according to the sign of the year, and she becomes 15 parts, and the moon grows by an additional 14th parts. And as the moon's waning decreases on the first day to 14 parts of her light, on the second to 13 parts of light, on the third to 12, on the fourth to 11, on the 5th to 10, on the 6th to 9, on the 7th to 8, on the 8th to 7, on the 9th to 6, on the 10th to 5, on the 11th to 4, on the 12th to 3, on the 13th to 2, on the 14th to the half of a 7th, and all her remaining light disappears wholly on the 15th. And in certain months, the month has 29 days, and once 28. And Uriel showed me another law, when light is transferred to the moon, and on which side it is transferred to her by the sun. During all the period during which the moon is growing in her light, she is transferring it to herself when opposite to the sun. During 14 days, her light is full in heaven. And when she is ablaze throughout, her light is full in heaven. And on the first day she is called the new moon, for on that day the light rises on her. She becomes full moon exactly on the day when the sun sets in the west, and from the east she rises at night, and the moon shines the whole night through until the sun rises over against her, and the moon is seen over against the sun. On the side whence the light of the moon comes out, There again she wanes until all the light vanishes, and all the days of the month are at an end. And her sphere, disk, is empty, void of light. In 3 months she makes of 30 days, and at her time she makes 3 months of 29 days each, in which she accomplishes her waning in the first period of time, and in the first door for 177 days. And in the time of her going out she appears for 3 months, consisting of 30 days each, and she appears for 3 months, consisting of 29 each. By night she looks like a man for 20 days each time, and by day she appears like heaven, and there is nothing else in her save her light. Chapter 79. And now, my son Methuselah, I have shown you everything, and the law of all the stars of heaven is completed. And he showed me all the laws of these for every day, and for every season of every rule, and for every year, and for its going out, and for the order prescribed to it every month and every week. And the waning of the moon which takes place in the 6th door, for in this 6th door her light is accomplished, and after that there is the beginning of the waning. And the waning which takes place in the 1st door in its season, until 177 days are accomplished, calculated according to weeks, 25 weeks and 2 days. She falls behind the sun in the order of the stars exactly 5 days in the course of one period. And when this place which you see has been traversed, such is the picture and sketch of every luminary which Uriel the archangel, who is their leader, showed to me. Author's note: for more information on the storehouses of heaven, the starts, gates, and luminaries, see the 2nd book of Enoch. Chapter 80. And in those days the angel Uriel answered and said to me, Behold, I have shown you everything, Enoch, and I have revealed everything to you, that you should see this sun and this moon, and the leaders of the stars of heaven, and all those who turn them, their tasks and times and departures. And in the days of the sinners the year shall be shortened, and their seed shall be tardy on their lands and fields, and all things on the earth shall alter, and shall not appear in their time, and the rain shall be kept back, and heaven shall withhold it. And in those times the fruits of the earth shall be backward, and shall not grow in their time, and the fruits of the trees shall be withheld in their time. And the moon shall alter her customs, and not appear at her time. And in those days the sun shall be seen, and he shall journey in the evening on the extremity of the great chariot in the west, and shall shine more brightly than accords with the order of light. And many rulers of the stars shall transgress their customary order, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them, and they shall be altered from all their ways. They shall err, and take them to be gods, and evil shall be multiplied on them, and punishment shall come on them so as to destroy all. Chapter 81. And he said to me, Enoch, look at these heavenly tablets and read what is written on them, and mark every individual fact. And read everything which was written on it, and understood everything, and read the book of all the deeds of mankind, and of all the children of flesh, that shall be on the earth to the end of generations. And I bless the great Lord, the King of glory, forever, in that he has made all the works of the world. And I exalted the Lord because of his patience, and blessed him because of the children of men, sons of Abraham. And then I said, Blessed is the man who dies in righteousness and goodness, concerning whom there is no book of unrighteousness written, and against whom no day of judgment shall be found. And the 7 holy ones brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and said to me, Declare everything to your son Methuselah, and show to all your children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of the Lord, for he is their creator. For 1 year we will leave you with your son, until you give your last commands, that you may teach your children and record it for them, and testify to all your children. And in the 2nd year they shall take you from their midst. Let your heart be strong, for the good shall proclaim righteousness to the good. The righteous shall rejoice with the righteous, and shall wish one another well. But the sinners shall die with the sinners, and the apostate shall go down with the apostate. And those who practice righteousness shall die on account of the deeds of men, and be taken away on the account of the deeds of the godless. And in those days they finished speaking to me, and I came to my people, blessing the Lord of the world. Chapter 82. And now, my son Methuselah, all these things I am recounting to you and writing down for you, and I have revealed to you everything, and given you books concerning all these. So, my son Methuselah, preserve the books from your father's hand, and see that you deliver them to the generations of the world. I have given wisdom to you and to your children, and those children to come, that they may give it to their children for generations. This wisdom, namely, that passes their understanding. And those who understand it shall not sleep, but shall listen that they may learn this wisdom, and it shall please those that eat thereof better than good food. Blessed are all the righteous. Blessed are those who walk in the way of righteousness, and sin not as the sinners, in the numbering of all their days in which the sun traverses heaven, entering into and departing from the doors for 30 days with the heads of thousands of the orders of the stars, together with the 4 which are within the calendar, which divide the 4 portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them, men shall be at fault and not count them in the whole number of days of the year. Men shall be at fault and not recognize them accurately. For they belong to the calculations of the year, and are truly recorded therein forever. 1 in the first door, and 1 in the third, and 1 in the fourth, and 1 in the sixth. And the year is completed in 364 days. And the account of it is accurate, and the recorded counting thereof is exact. For the luminaries, and months, and festivals, and years, and days, has Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom the Lord of the whole creation of the world hath subjected the host of heaven. And he has power over night and day in heaven, to cause the light to shine on men via the sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of the heaven which revolve in their circular chariots. And these are the orders of the stars, which set in their places, and in their seasons and festivals and months. And these are the names of those who lead them, who watch that they enter at their times, in their orders, in their seasons, in their months, in their periods of dominion, and in their positions. The 4 leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first, and after them the 12 leaders of the orders who divide the months. And for the 360 days there are heads over thousands who divide the days. And for the 4 days in the calendar there are the leaders which divide the 4 parts of the year. And these heads over thousands are interspersed between leader and leader, each behind a station, but their leaders make the division. And these are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year which are ordained: Milkiel, Hel-Emelech, and Melejal, and Norel. And the names of those who lead them: Adnaral, and Ejasuzael, and Elomael. These three follow the leaders of the orders, and there is one that follows the three leaders of the orders, which follow those leaders of stations that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the beginning of the year, Melchizedek rises first and rules, who is named Tamayini and Son, and all the days of his dominion while he bears rule are 91 days. And these are the signs of the days which are to be seen on earth in the days of his dominion: sweat and heat and calms, and all the trees bear fruit, and leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat and the rose flowers, and all the flowers which come out in the field, but the trees of the winter season become withered. And these are the names of the leaders which are under them: Berkael, Zelebsel, and another who was added at a head of 1,000, called Helushaseph. And the days of the dominion of this leader are at an end. The next leader after him is Elimelech, whom one names the shining sun, and all the days of his light are 91 days. And these are the signs of his days on the earth: glowing heat and dryness, and the trees ripen their fruits, and produce all their fruits ripe and ready. And the sheep pair and become pregnant, and all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and everything that is in the fields and the winepress. These things take place in the days of his dominion. These are the names and the orders and the leaders of those heads of thousands: Jeda-Ijal, Kiel, and Hael, and the name of the head of 1,000 which is added to them. Chapter 83. And now, my son Methuselah, I will show you all my visions which I have seen, recounting them before you. I saw 2 visions before I got married, took a wife, and the one was quite unlike the other. The first when I was learning to write. The second before I married, took, your mother, was when I saw a terrible vision. And regarding them I prayed to the Lord. I had laid down in the house of my grandfather Mahalalel, when I saw in a vision how heaven collapsed and was carried off, removed, torn down, and fell to the earth. And when it fell to the earth, I saw how the earth was swallowed up in a great abyss, and mountains were suspended on mountains, and hills sank down on hills, and high trees were ripped from their stems, and hurled down and sunk in the abyss. And then a word fell into my mouth, and I lifted up my voice to cry aloud and said, the earth is destroyed. And my grandfather, Mahalalel, woke me as I lay near him, and said to me, why do you cry so, my son, and why do you make such moaning, lamentation? And I recounted to him the whole vision which I had seen, and he said to me, you have seen a terrible thing, my son. Your dream vision is of a grave time, and concerns the secrets of all the sin of the earth. It must sink into the abyss and be totally destroyed. And now, my son, arise and pray to the Lord of glory, since you are a believer, that a remnant may remain on the earth, and that he may not destroy the whole earth. My son, from heaven all this will come on the earth, and on the earth there will be great destruction. After that I arose and prayed and implored and besought God, and wrote down my prayer for the generations of the world, and I will show everything to you, my son Methuselah. And when I had gone out below and seen the heaven, and the sun rising in the east, and the moon setting in the west, and a few stars, and the whole earth, and everything as he had known it in the beginning, then I blessed the Lord of judgment, and exalted him, because he had made the sun to go out from the windows of the east, and he ascended and rose on the face of heaven, and set out and kept traversing the path shown to it. Chapter 84. And I lifted up my hands in righteousness, and blessed the Holy and Great One, and spoke with the breath of my mouth, and with the tongue of flesh, which God has made for the children of the flesh of men, that they should speak therewith. And he gave them breath, and a tongue, and a mouth that they should speak therewith. Blessed be you, O Lord King, great and mighty in your greatness, Lord of the whole creation of heaven, King of kings and God of the whole world. And your power and kingship and greatness abide forever and ever. And throughout all generations your dominion and all heavens are your throne forever, and the whole earth your footstool forever and ever. For you have made, and you rule all things, and nothing is too hard for you. Wisdom never departs from the place of your throne, nor turns away from your presence. You know and see and hear everything, and there is nothing hidden from you, for you see everything. And now the angels of your heavens are guilty of trespass, and on the flesh of men abide your wrath until the great day of judgment. And now, O God and Lord and great King, I implore and beseech you to fulfill my prayer, to leave me a posterity on earth, and not destroy all the flesh of man, and make the earth without inhabitant, so that there should be an eternal destruction. And now, my Lord, destroy from the earth the flesh which has aroused your wrath, but the flesh of righteousness establish as an eternal plant-bearing seed forever, and hide not your face from the prayer of your servant, O Lord. Author's note: in chapter 85 and following, a series of animals is mentioned. These seem to refer to nations or ethnicities. For example, the eagles may refer to the Roman Empire. The Islamic nation is represented by the asses. Egyptians are wolves. The Assyrians are lions, and so on. See Daniel chapter 10 for other like imagery. Other writers have attempted to be more specific. Starting with Adam and Eve, the story begins. Abraham may be a white bull, Ishmael the wild ass, Isaac the white bull, Jacob is a white sheep, Esau the wild boar. There is the concept that Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, give rise to all various animals or nations. The small lambs with open eyes are the Essenes. Jesus is the sheep with the big horn. And in 90:17, the final 12 shepherds represent the Christian era. Chapter 85. And after this I saw another dream, and I will show the whole dream to you, my son. And Enoch lifted up his voice and spoke to his son Methuselah. I will speak to you, my son. Hear my words. Incline your ear to the dream, vision of your father. Before I married, took your mother Edna, I saw in a vision on my bed, and behold, a bull came out from the earth, and that bull was white. And after it came out a heifer, and along with this later came out 2 bulls, one of them black, and the other red. And that black bull gored the red one, and pursued him over the earth. And then I could no longer see that red bull. But that black bull grew, and that heifer went with him. And I saw that many oxen proceeded from him, which resembled and followed him. And that cow, that first one, went from the presence of that first bull in order to seek that red one, but found him not, and mourned with a great lamentation and sought him. And I looked until that first bull came to her, and quieted, calmed her. And from that time onward she cried no more. And after that she bore another white bull, and after him she bore many bulls and black cows. And I saw in my sleep that white bull likewise grew, and became a great white bull, and from him proceeded many white bulls, and they resembled him. And they began to father many white bulls, which resembled them, one following another.